And joining us now to tell us a little bit about that is Frank Talty. Frank is from the UMass Lowell. He's the co-director of the Center for Irish Partnerships, one of my favorites. Frank, thanks for taking some time and joining us on 980 WCAP. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me, Jay.
Good. I got my Indiana Jack hat on.
Yeah, well, will you fit right in down here then?
I'm ready for the dig. Tell us, first of all, set the stage for people who aren't familiar with this.
Okay. The archaeologists that are in Lowell this week are historical archaeologists. So it's not, they're kind of Indiana Jones type archaeologists that you probably would see in the movie. These folks are interested in learning about history through archaeology, which really, I guess, is the ultimate bottom line for all kinds of archaeology. But in our case, these folks are from Queen's University, which is the largest university in Northern Ireland, located in Belfast. As you may have read or heard, UMass Lowell has a relationship with Queen's University and have done a number of different projects. We've had folks over there, they've had folks over here. So the three archaeologists that are with us this week have been planning this. We've been planning this together for about a year and a half now. The objective is to study the pre-famine and post-famine living style and conditions of the Irish that immigrated from Northern Ireland to Lowell specifically to dig the canals that powered the mills. And so we've got a great history in the city of
absolutely.
Irish immigration. And this archaeological dig here at St. Patrick's Church in Lowell is a first effort to see what we might discover literally in the ground that's going to tell us about those early Irish here in Lowell.
Frank, talking about the early Irish, and it's something I'm very interested in because that's my heritage, being a John Patrick.
Yes.
What year are we looking at for the earliest or the first? Right around when are we looking at?
Okay, 1821 was the first group of about, some say 30, some say 22 Irish laborers who were in the Boston area, and they were literally walked up from Charlestown to Lowell from the shipyards by a fellow by the name of Hugh Comiskey. And in Lowell, you might have heard the name pronounced Comiskey, but it's pronounced Comiskey, I'm told, by my Northern Irish colleagues. So Comiskey led the group up here to provide labor for the mill owners who needed to get these canals dug as quickly as possible. So you have 1821, the first group, and then Comiskey basically did the run back and forth and became sort of the foreman for the Irish groups, and a small community developed. That community eventually built its own church here on land donated by the mill owners to the Archdiocese of Boston, and that's St. Patrick's Church, and that became what we now call the Acre. So that's the history of it.
Frank, what was life like for these immigrants? Obviously we're doing the dig to find out more, but what do we know already about what their living conditions were like?
Well, we know that they were initially very temporary shanty-style housing because initially I think it was probably the plan of the mill owners that the Irish should be brought up here, dig the canals, and go back. But the canal building went on for years and years, and the community became more entrenched and, of course, started developing a life into itself. So the early conditions, the first, say, 30 years, the period that we're really looking at here on the property, is a period from 1820s to 1850s, essentially. And then what we hope to see is some evidence at some point here of any differences that might have occurred as a result of the famine, the Great Famine taking place just a little bit later into that period in the 1840s, 1850s. So pre- and post-famine Irish both lived here in Lowell.
We're talking with Frank Talty from UMass Lowell, talking about the dig that is going on. Frank, it's Jack again, and we are lucky enough that a lot of people kept a lot of stuff here in the city, and of course we all know that Lowell has a very rich Irish ancestry. What are some of the things that these folks from Ireland are hoping to find or are specifically looking for?
Well, I can tell you, and in fact, there's some folks that are quite knowledgeable in the Lowell area, including David Blackburn at the National Park Service, Steve Stoll at the Lowell Historic Board, that in a number of the construction projects in Lowell over the last 20, 30 years, they've been very careful to when they're excavating, to chronicle and record items. So we already know that there's items in different parts of the city. What we're expecting here, the early Irish, is that you're not going to find buildings because these were temporary shanty-style housing. So, but you might find a hearth place where they cook. You may find dishware. We've already found our first clay pipe, which you anticipated that we will probably find more of, because that was a very common, activity for a lot of the early Irish. So that sort of thing, pottery, dishware, glassware. We found some old handmade rosary beads already. So,
oh, wow.
Some interesting stuff, and we're just about a foot into the ground at this point. And by Friday morning, we expect to be at least twice, if not 3 times as deep.
How deep do you think you'll be able to get?
You know what? I'm going to actually see if I can get you Colin Donnelly, who's the project director from Queens. If you want to you have time to do. I mean, I know we have to get off at 2, but what time? Do we have a couple minutes for Colin?
Sure. Yeah. Is he available?
He is. Yeah. I'm just going to get him now.
Excellent. And it's Colin?
Colin Donnelly is a professor and chair of the archaeology department at Queens and the project director here in Lowell. So
yeah, we got a couple minutes. If he's got a minute, I'd love to talk to him.
Can I just steal you for a second?
980 WCAP. We are talking about the archaeological dig that's going on here in Lowell with Frank Talty from UMass Lowell, and hopefully we're going to try to get one of the gentlemen from Ireland with us. This is, you never know what's going to happen with Dino J in the midday.
And Jack, real quick, here's Colin Donnelly.
All right, call him. Are you there?
How are you?
Colin, good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Well, it's whenever I talk to somebody Irish, my brogue just,
Yes.
this slips right out. Colin, we're so happy that you chose Lowell, and tell us a little bit about the project and some of the things that you are most interested in finding out from this dig.
Well, I think what we're looking at, the whole idea of the project, is to look at the Irish in Ireland during the 19th century, and then the Irish-American experience, the immigrants' experience whenever they came across to the United States in the 19th century. So the idea is that we'll have a transatlantic project where you'll have one half of the work will be in Ireland at a site selected there, and then the other half will be over here in Lowell, and we're excavating in the Acre, which was the area where the Irish settled in the 1820s, 1830s, and 1840s.
Colin, why was Lowell chosen? Why did you guys put the spotlight on Lowell? Is it because it's easier, more open, or just it has a wealth of knowledge for you?
Well, I think really the starting point for the whole project was the collaborative agreement that was signed between Queen's University Belfast and the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. So that basically meant that you had a framework there for the two institutions to come together, and as part of that, I put forward that this was a proposal for a project that the two universities could do together. So that's really the reason why we went into partnership together. And then whenever you actually start doing the research and you actually start seeing the history of Lowell and the Irish contribution to the canal structure that was needed to bring the water to the mills, it all started then to come together. And the story then of one of the leaders of the Irish community in Lowell, Hugh Comiskey, who's from a place in County Tyrone called Trillick. We've been then looking at his story in Ireland, and we've identified where his family, their homestead in County Tyrone. So, we're trying to build up that whole picture.
It's fascinating.
Interconnection.
Fascinating story. Now, how long will you be here?
We're only here for a week. This is really only a reconnaissance expedition
so this is
So
early on in the process, right?
Sorry?
Early on in the process.
Yes, it's very early on. It's only really the start of the process. But we're hoping that we'll be able to get together and make this run for maybe 3 to 5 years.
Oh, excellent.
So,
well, it is certainly fascinating. Colin, I want to thank you so much for your time, and thanks to Frank as well. And we're going to be following this story. We'd love to chat with you when we have more time. We can sit down and discuss this because, being from Irish heritage myself, I find it very fascinating, and I think everybody in our listenership would as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Bye.
Colin,
Bye.
Frank, thank you so much.